in Utah when I was a boy, everybody knew what a downwinder was. We were the anti-nuclear capital of the world. I was an autistic kid. My father was a drafted United States Marine, an incredible man. I come from an incredible family. My uncle stood on Omaha Beach on D-Day. I grew up on a huge ranch out by the lake. He was a beautiful, incredible person. He was at Pendleton, combat ready, and they were human guinea pig. They were marched into the trenches in Nevada. They're called atomic veterans. He nearly died at the blast. Between 1951 and 1968, we had 300 open-air tests. Well, as different scientists started to write about this, Wallace Stegner was at the University of Utah at the time. I got to know him. Edward Abbey was hanging around there. I got to know him. I got to know all these environmentalists, and I was an environmentalist, and it was a passionate, intense subject matter there.
All nuclear fighters, all hands on deck, all hands on deck, all hands on deck. All nuclear fighters, all hands on deck, all hands on deck, all hands on deck. They'll be calling you a radical. Plumegate, 311, whatever you want to call it. I call it Pacific genocide, whatever. It's fucking giant conspiratorial across all demographics. All nuclear fighters, all hands on deck, all hands on deck, all hands on deck. They'll be calling you a radical. All nuclear fighters, all hands on deck, all hands on deck, all hands on deck. Plumegate, 311, whatever you want to call it. I call it Pacific genocide, whatever. It's fucking giant conspiratorial across all demographics. They'll be calling you a radical. May God have mercy on all of your souls.
Nuclear power was evolving. We were promised, oh, this can't happen.
Well, good morning, comrades, and hope you can get out of your dogma snuggies for a minute, which I highly doubt very many people can. This is such an indoctrinated and ingrained. I'm going to talk a lot about the massive, massive corruption inside so-called law enforcement. We're going to talk about Fukushima and the lies that are coming out, media, the USS troops, Reagan. People want to report this now 4 fucking years later. Really, 4 fucking years later. Fukushima is not handled. It's out of control. Now, there's an article written up in Seattle, of all places, the most comfortably numb, dumbest motherfuckers that ever fucking walked, next to San Francisco. Well, no, I take that back. Utah, we win that fucking prize. I want to talk first of all about the massive corruption inside the most corrupt place on earth is Utah. I put up a video today. Go to my YouTube site about the Ted Bundy possibly body being found. I went out there, I think it's there. I really do, and I'll tell you why. And I'm going to read some stuff to you as far as it goes. First off, there's a case in Utah. Now get this. I want you guys to understand. I'm going to talk about 3 massively, massively corruption and the inept law enforcement we have here, and just the money. And it's grotesque. The death unarmed by a cop, capital of the world, is here. Bar none. We had 7 in 10 days. It has nothing to do with race here. It's all about freaking control. They're out of control. Yesterday, the Attorney General of the United States, the Vice President of the United States, pinned a Medal of Valor on a guy named Nathan Hutchinson from the Weber Morgan Strike Force. Drug strike. Well, it used to be Weber Davis Morgan, but Davis backed out because they're hardcore under investigation by the FBI. This was a case right here, just 2 blocks from where I'm sitting right now. A guy named Matthew Stewart, prominent family here. He has a house right there. A veteran. Marijuana in the house, which, by the way, is fine. With badges, they say he wanted to pick those. I didn't think he was home. He was home. Now the story come out. They just kicked out. Now we know because we've seen the surveillance and everything. The attorneys freaking all kinds of slots. The NAACP's all over. Everybody's all over this. He has. They don't have bulletproof. They don't think anybody's home, so they're just going in there to raid because they think maybe there's cash. By the way, they steal all the money and keep it legally. By the way, search and seizure laws. backdoored the entire Constitution. And this has been very controversial here. They've killed many people this way. There's famous ones all over. Look up the Blair murders. It's the same people. They've been murdering people in this town. And a guy named Judge Lyons, who had to step down, issuing after the fact warrants. After they go in, then calling and over the phone getting warrants. So illegal. Well, here's how this played out. And this is very well documented now. They kick in the doors, hillbilly, boom, 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 boom. One cop is shot, another cop is killed. Now they're saying Matthew Stewart shot. He ran into the backyard. Now we know through the FBI got involved, through the attorneys got involved, we know that Matthew Stewart's bullets did not kill the cop, Frank Cohen, and it did not wound the other one. It was the very own cops. This is going to be a major, major case in the United States, a major case. I'm friends with the attorneys. I've talked to the FBI on it. I mean, it was a major deal. Matthew Stewart is waiting. He was shot. It didn't kill him. It almost killed him. They put him in jail. He's in Weber County Jail. This thing's getting ready to go. The number one case in the United States is going to be, lo and behold, Matthew Stewart's found hung in the Weber County Jail. End of case. The guy who pulled the trigger, who actually probably killed his own freaking cop, got a Medal of Valor pinned around his neck. Now, let's remember, I come from a Special Forces father who was nuked in the Nevada test site. An honorablest man you ever seen. Never, ever got any award. My mother never got any. They got spit in their face. My uncle stood on Omaha Beach on D-Day. These are the people that... This is such an outrage and such a disgrace. So, that's one. I mean, of course, Daniel Willard's mother got a check for $1.4 million, and the other one is Callie blew her head off, and, they won't let it go to court here. And the FBI is shackled. So, anyway, I'll talk about the Bundy case. This was a community, a rich community. Everybody knows everybody here when, in the 70s. Bundy's on his rampage. He's here in Utah. He's at the University of Utah Law School. The professors, the student bodies, got him put up on a pedestal, this passive-aggressive evil monster. And I want to make no mistake about this. The state of Utah had him twice. Twice. We're talking a serial killer. They knew he was a serial killer. He escaped. How does that happen? Because this is how inept and pathetic they are here. And have been for years and gotten much, much worse. So, what happens? Bundy, after he's escaped from Utah twice, continues to kill in Florida. They finally catch him. Florida finally freaking does the job to this creepy monster evil. He's driving right up and down through our communities. He got a lot of girls here. A lot of them. Right over here. Well, one right out on Highway 89 where I put up that video. I showed you the video where I caught Energy Solutions truck hot waste because we have no media here. No media here. They have drank the Kool-Aid. We have the Great Salt Lake at 1/3 of its size. We have a mega epic drought going on. We have a camp. They'd be going crazy here. No media even talk about it. It's like they put their hands in their ears and over there, like little kids. So anyway, she was taken from the store in 1975. Well, there's another case from the University of Utah. They both have the same first name, Nancy. But you got a lot of them. They're unsolved, by the way. A lot of them are unsolved. So, as it plays forward, they, we're talking families that everybody knew these people. Everybody knew these people. It's a massive, massive hunt. So as they're getting ready to juice, Utah sends down investigators. This is how pathetic Utah is. They are pathetic. So they go down to 1989. They spend millions of dollars in Florida. Well, somebody has found some bones in central Utah. So they're all nice thinking it's Nancy Wilcox. They just made this quantum leap. Oh, it's her. It must have been Bundy. So they go to Bundy, and he's killed a lot of people over a lot of years. So obviously he can't remember exact details on every one because he's an insane monster. So they're saying, well, we found a body in Emory County, and he's like trying to recall. I think he was trying to play ball. He says, and I'll read it. This is from the Deseret News, 1989. He says, well, I remember traveling south on I-15 and looping back onto US 89, where we're hooked together. And I remember going up on the top of the slope and burying her body on this steep embankment. He said that. And they're saying, well, Emory County, I think well, I mean, obviously he didn't know which counties. I mean, he'd been in multiple states, whatever. I think he meant Weber County. He'd remembered it. So, but they're all gung-hoed on the freaking, which the bones down there did not end up being any of this match. It was you going off their wild goose chase like they always do and spending $1 million and hee-haw on their cops freaking. I mean, these cops don't work. They're pathetic. So, gets away. So I read this. I know this story. Everybody in Utah knows this story. Everybody knows this story. It was a very scary time here. And so, right exactly like he said, right where I-15 meets 89, which everybody in Utah has traveled that intersection. It's right where Lagoon is. It's right there. Everybody in Utah has traveled it thousands of times. It's one of the major intersection things. Well, they've expanded. Steep embankment. You can see the video. I went up there and put the video. They find a skull there. A guy's walking through there and spots it. 40 years later, 3 miles from where she was taken. Now, he was explaining. I think, it hasn't come out what the body is or who the body is, but I went up there. I talked to one of the investigators, wherever, shot the video. It's heartbreaking how pathetic law enforcement is here. Law enforcement. They're pathetic. Really pathetic. We'll see in the next few days when it comes forward, but I think Bundy was explaining them to right detail. Right there. All they had to do was go right there to the intersection, right there, on the steep slope, right there, just like he said. Do some probing and digging. They would have solved it then. He told them. But no, they're geeked up, hee-haw. They spent millions. Okay? Let's jump forward to the Elizabeth Smart case. This is how pathetic. And I'll write a book because here's the problem in America. It's pay to play, literature-wise. There's a lot of great writers. No one ever reads their books because publishing right now, they don't. In the old days, you used to send your literature to these publishers and they would read them and go through them. Oh, no. No, it's pay to play. They have computers with software and just feed the demographic of the sheep, just like our media does. And the American sheep go along with it. Nah. We like it. They're so dogma and ground in their idealism. Truth, reality means nothing. Elizabeth Smart's taken. I got young girls in this freaking town. Everybody's cut through the back window. I will never forget this, and I will never forgive KSL and law enforcement for this. Never forgive them. The whole state's gone berserk. And the reason is she's a blonde-haired, blue-eyed freaking Mormon girl. National media, if this was a little black girl, a little brown girl out all the time, you would have never even heard about it. But this is a blonde-haired, blue-eyed Mormon girl in an affluent neighborhood in Salt Lake. I will never forget this. I'm listening to KSL. A lot of people are. Doug writes a terrorist. KSL are terrorists. Someone calls in. They've got the hounds up there, and he went through the back window. And they could trace, the hounds had traced him right behind their house, up into immigration, right behind LDS up there where that area is. And this guy says, hey, I've been tracking this guy, our dogs, and we see that, and this is live. We see this guy. He looks just like Jesus, and all of a sudden he just disappeared into the side of the mountain. Disappeared. Right into the side of the mountain. We can't find him or anything. Now, we know, of course, that was him and her. So, they had him. They hired 300 FBI agents. Now, let's remember, Ed Smart was living in this big house he could not afford, because that's what they do here, would go downtown to the homeless community in Salt Lake, which is a big homeless community, and he would get homeless people. And if you ever seen pictures of this guy that got her, he would bring them into the home. He had who does that? I mean, he's a criminal. Ed Smart's a criminal for exposing, making his daughters vulnerable like that. And his pill-popping woman wife just sits back there in her freaking burqa, because that's what they do here. And the girls are playing the harps in there. So the little girl, the younger one, gave a list of 50 people that had been in that home. The little girl gave the list, and Ed Smart gave the list to the FBI and to the law enforcement. Hundreds, if not thousands, of FBI to descend on the case. There's the list. His name's Emmanuel. He lives right in downtown Salt Lake. His wife, his daughter, ex-daughters, he was a molester, pedophile, molesting his ex-daughter. All they had to do was walk right over and interview him. He was there the whole time. It was him inside the mountain. He was raping her, and, he was a sick sociopath. There's lots of them around. Why did they not go interview the guy? There's 300 FBI agents. There's a list that never bother. His own daughter says, why didn't they come talk to me? They never come talk to me. I would have told him he's a pedophile, freaking molester. Yeah, that's probably the guy. There's photographs of him and Elizabeth and his, the mentally ill freaking other wife that he had in their burkas all over Salt Lake City, at parties, everywhere, right under their nose the entire time. Under their nose the entire time. This little girl, Deb's in the name. Ed Smart goes on TV and makes millions. You think he's doing those interviews for free? KSL freaking grandstands it. Our new congressman's a guy named Stewart. That's how he got fame. He's a Mormon bishop. They're grandstanding the hardcore rape of this young girl. I mean, it's sad what happened to Elizabeth Smart. So this goes on and on and on and on and on. This incredible rape. They tried to get her cousin to the thing. I mean, this is how inept and pathetic. Finally, the little girl, that brilliant little girl, finally, she was mentally blocked, pops in her brain. She goes to her dad and says, it was Emmanuel. I know it was him. Finally. So Ed Smart's going to law enforcement. They won't even listen to him. Finally, somebody does a composite sketch. They've been going back from San Diego. He was arrested in San Diego, stood in front of the judge. This is how pathetic the FBI is. This is how pathetic. They never solve anything, by the way. None of them ever solve. This is law enforcement. This is a fascist state. They get checks. This is the whole country, by the way. You get checks. They don't work. They don't do anything. And they just give themselves raise, and pin batters on them, and they're heroes. You go to a sports game now. They don't even say, we would like to honor our veterans. That's how it started out. Now it's veterans, military personnel abroad, our heroes, law enforcement. Really? Really? So they're starting to act like cops are somehow wounded veterans from a foreign war. They're not protectors of the people anymore. They're not police. They are the people's enemy. They are taught to repression on Balco, Homeland Security on Patriot Act, mission accomplished. This is pure fascism. So the paper comes out and does a composite sketch. It does a Tribune. The other paper refuses to even do it. There they are, standing right on State Street, right there. A guy driving by and he says, oh, that's them. That's a composite sketch. There they are, right there. Case solved. After she'd been raped and freaking for how long? They had them the whole time. This is how pathetic they are. They had them immediately. There's the list. You can't go talk to the guy. He's there under your nose. His name's on the list. Now think about a guy. So they blame it on a guy named Richard Reese, who had been in the house last time. He was a two-bit petty, convicted of crime, been in prison for stealing stuff, whatever. A handyman. Now you think about the fact. He's not going to call an HVAC guy. I was a contractor for years and years. I would screen my place, whatever, and we did new construction. But you know how it is when you bring somebody for heating, whatever. These companies screen their employees hardcore for every reason. People know. Just let anybody in their fucking house. This guy doesn't want to pay. He doesn't want to pay. Now, get this. He would take these homeless people into his big house that he couldn't afford, which that's how Mormons do. You know what he paid him? And this all came out of the thing. He would give them a sandwich. He would, seriously, pay them with a sandwich to work on it. This is the cheapskate fucker that he was. Criminal from hell. And he gets rich on this. This is the insanity that exists here. It's beyond it. They never solve one single case, but they'll kill you. People here won't even call cops now. Everybody I know, even if they got a situation, they won't call the police. They won't, because they know that there's a very high probability the cop will kill them. And they do it all the time. There's dozens and dozens of these cases here. It cannot make the courts because the Mormon Church has captured the courts. The FBI is trying. The FBI arrested the sitting attorney general and the ex-governor at their houses. Look it up. Shirtlift, John Swallow, charged with 11 and 13 felony counts. The head of the Republican Party comes out and says, if this is true what the FBI is exposing, that this extorted usury money, buy here, pay here, which it's usury, it's buy here, pay here. The average payday loan in Utah is 538% interest. Now, remember, these are people calling themselves Christians. We know the pillar of Christianity. Last state to get rid of usury laws. They're saying that the money was filtered to Mike Lee, and he knew it. This is the FBI, and this is the head of the Republican Party says, if this is the case, these are crimes that people go to jail for. This is our United States Senator who's pulling people off. He cut me off Medicaid. Okay, so get this. Our woman, under so-called Obamacare, which Obamacare was patterned after Utah. Utah's had so-called Obamacare since the 90s. We were the leader. Before Mitt Romney got it from Utah, another Mormon in Massachusetts, it was developed in Utah by the Huntsmans. That is exactly Obamacare. We've always had it. Everybody gets all gung-ho about it in Utah. We've had it since the 90s. But there's one difference, one very striking difference. Now Utah, now get this, our own money, against, which has been ruled by the Supreme Court, any person who doesn't have a job, no matter how critical condition, no matter how sick, no matter how much treatment in, the state of Utah is kicking them off Medicaid. So here is a whole group of people in the LDS and Huntsman bone marrow transplants that are full of AML cancers. I mean, the hardcore, brutalist cancers there ever were on Medicaid. Of course they don't have jobs. They can't work. I mean, these people were fighting for the... Mike Lee pulled them off Medicaid. For real. Sending back our very own money. So John Huntsman Sr. goes crazy about it. He owns the Huntsman Cancer Institution. He goes, this guy's insane. He's psycho. This guy stands up. Now, get this. There's a video with he and I going at it. Asking about Fukushima. His father died very young of cancer. This is the insanity of this guy. This guy's insane. Okay? While he's running for the United States Senate, now, because this is the teabagger revolt in the banking meltdown, Bennett, the banking giant freaking guru here, comes from the banking guru family, one of the great banking families in American history, is head of the Banking and Finance Committee. He's a powerful senator in Utah. Of course, he's going bye-bye. So in the Republican parties in Utah, we do not have what we call open caucuses. It's closed. So these choices, and we have one party. Whoever it's chosen in this small group, the candidate's going to be, that will be your new senator. That will be your new congressman. Because there's no two-party. No Democrat holds any chance here whatsoever. They lose by 90 plus. So it's all decided, and they're not open primaries. So even the Republican Party has no transparency who this is. So they decide Mike Lee, who is the lead staffer in Washington, D.C. for Judge Alito. Judge Alito from BYU Law. Karl Rove, BYU Law. Now let's get this straight. A user guy. Mike Lee's house, he's living in this huge house, $1 million house in Alpine, Utah. He can't afford it. He hasn't made a payment on it in 2.5 years. It's in foreclosure while he's running for the United States Senator on a platform of fiscal responsibility. His home's in foreclosure. His house is foreclosed. It is short sold. The bank eats $600,000. Now, make sure you listen to this. $600,000. The bank eats it. In the state of Utah, that is legal tender. This is the collection attorney capital of the world. We have two major law schools here, University of BYU, and it's just full of, you can't BK out of it, you can't walk from it, you can't get away, and they could sell it to other attorneys and collection agencies. This $600,000. Now remember, this is a guy who gets elected as a United States Senator, $170,000, so they will automatically garnish his wages. They can take up to 50% of the gross. So all of a sudden, remember, this is United States Senator who's been elected. So all of a sudden, Chase comes out and says, which, by the way, Chase got all the government bailout. So the government bailout money flows to Chase. Chase goes to Mike Lee as a gift and says, we will eat the mortgage, $600,000. We will just pay it off. So the U.S. taxpayer gave Mike Lee $600,000. So Mike Lee gets elected. First thing, kick people off Medicaid. He goes around calling everybody welfare victims. He sponsored the bill to get rid of all food stamps. He's trying to get rid of Teddy Roosevelt's 1904 Antiquities Act, him and Rob Bishop here. This is the hypocrisy. This is the insanity of the state. The guy got and yet he wants to cut people off food stamps. Now, let's be clear. His district, where he represents the state of Utah, and especially up here in northern Utah, the number one employer by far, no one even close, is the federal government. Rob Bishop runs on a platform, we hate the federal government. Even the New York Times did a piece. This area right here where I live ranked number 2 in the United States for the most per capita government-funded jobs, which it's really number 1. Everybody here works for the federal government, yet they hate the federal government. You can talk to these people. What? You hate federal? What? If you look at your check, can't see. Lake's trying it, nah. Eagles all that, nah. This place is insane, but so is the rest of America. So I sent him an email. I said, Mike, here, this is how many years it's going to take you. A food stamp recipient gets $189 a month. There's 650,000. They're on food stamps. If they want, they would be starving to death. This country's participation rate's less than 50%. Now think about that. The participation rate, not fuck your unemployment rate, which is a scam. I'm a finance professor. I remember when they changed all the laws on how to collect the data. Unless you're actively collecting unemployment, you're not counted. You know, people pushed off the payroll. Now think about this. The usury rate is under 50%. The participation rate. That means less than 50% of the working class people that can work are working. Oh, they're working, a lot of them. They're being paid cash. They're illegals. They've got it, you know. And the same people bitch about the illegals ones. Oh, I love it just the way it is. Now you think about it. It's against the law to pay someone cash. So the same people, Hairsprayed Masquerade Party, they've gutted the trade unions. Gutted them. 1938, the pastor in the United States talking about fascism. First, they come for the tradesmen. He went on and on and on. I won't stop there. They come for the tradesmen because they know they're the cornerstone of the thing. I was a tradesman, stucco contractor, rock mason, a real one here. The only laughing plaster left in the state of Utah is me. For real, go to the Children's Museum in the odds. That's all built out of lava. That's my work. The 1905 Masonic Temple, hand chiseled at Tom Frank, build it back together with my secret sauce. That's all. And people say, how'd you replace those massive stones? I made stones out of my secret I got something happened on the way to that place. They threw a nuclearism flag in my face. I got leukemia. This is the insanity. Now, I also want to talk about YouTube and the insanity of the degenerate America. America worships people that get it dead wrong. Worships it. Alex Jones. He's dead wrong. Okay, now, hear me out. Paul Bagley, Greg Hunter, all these people that go to the economic thesis. Now, you think about the last 5 years, 6 years all over YouTube. My YouTube career is not even 5 years old. All you've heard is buy silver, buy silver, buy silver. At 45, at 35, 20, silver 16. Why it's crashing. All you've heard is buy gold at 1,800, 1,900, 1,700. Gold's at 1,222. All you've heard is the dollar is going to crash. The dollar in 2008 at 2007 was $1.60 against the euro. The biggest depreciation of the dollar in U.S. history was from 2003 to 2006. Annihilated. Everybody's mind was on the war. So the dollar over the last 2 years has made the biggest rallies in U.S. dollar history against all currencies. Why they're telling you the stock market's going to crash and go to zero. That's all you've heard. You know, Gerald Celente, even all of them. Why the stock market makes all-time highs. Now, here's Kevin Blanch in a Cassandra-like fashion, which is incredible. I mean, it's an amazing story that even I can't believe. You know, I was on Wall Street. I've been very successful up and down. Went through some divorce, went through some death, quit my Wall Street career, came home to help Clyde Cooley catch our brand new NBA program at Weber State. Is going to be the number one NBA project. Clyde Cooley got BSE, mad cow in his head, and dropped dead. I had to step in and try to help. You know, I came home from Wall Street because of massive death. So, long, ugly story for a few years. But my YouTube career, I'm getting ready to go back in the hedge fund industry. I'm experimenting. I'm arguing with some other professors of what language I can use and communication style on freaking the format. And I'm talking to ex-students of mine, whatever, that are in the hedge fund, because I taught the number one finance freaking program in the world. You know, as an adjunct, I was not tenured as a helping, because massive death in our university, which, by the way, our university goes from the number one school business in the world via the testing, not somebody's opinion. They're completely gone. They're a joke. A pathetic joke. Why? Because they lost all their key professors. They all got cancer and died. So, 2011, 2010, I started doing finance videos. The day the silver at the top, there's a video out there. I'm like, I think it's a bubble. It smells like a bubble, whatever. And in my classroom, I do a video, and I'm like, get out. Triple leveraged out. Tell you exact to the day. We're talking $47. Okay, moves along. I'm telling everybody, buy Apple, all the way There's videos to prove it, all the way from $90 in 2008. This is Apple's 90. By the way, Apple's approaching $900 since 2008. I'm like, it's a no-brainer. Apple, blah, blah. And there's videos all the way along. Nobody watches them because America's addicted dogmatically to being wrong. They want people that get it wrong, that feed their freaking insane brains. Because they're freaking dogma-groomed into degenerate. They're degenerates. America, they are degenerates. It's a fact. It's true. So, I say, I take $3,000. It's all over YouTube. I says, okay, I make bets with people. Going on 5 years ago, it's not quite 5 years ago, we make bets on our portfolios. I said, well, I'm even going to buy Microsoft. It's freaking cheap. It's 20. They pay a huge dividend. By the way, it's 47. On an island. Got bets all over. Everybody's betting me that gold's going to 3,000. For that, I mean, $10,000 bets. I mean, all kinds of people, lunatics. Silver. So I'm like, no, here's my portfolio. Here's what I'm going to do. I laid it out, 6, 4, 10. And so I'm doing this. So here we get all the way into the summer of 2011. The market's melting down again. Cramming everybody. So I'm doing videos. You look them all up all through August and September of 2011. I'm up at 5 o'clock in the morning because there's some ex-students of mine that are in the hedge fund industry. I'm headed back to the hedge fund. My $3,000 by now is $700,000. Buying derivatives on gold, on the down. Buying them on the up, on Tesla, on Apple. So I'm doing videos inside my classroom in 2011. On up and sunset, right as the sun's coming up every morning, saying, okay, Kramer, everybody's saying the market's melting down. It goes under 10,000. Everybody's panicking out again. And I'm like, no. You'll never get an opportunity like this. Double down. The fundamentals are not because, one, corporations aren't American anymore. The stock market's not American. They don't pay any taxes. They are allowed to use slaves. They have no regulations on them, so they can do whatever they want. There's no way they can't make money in this demographic. The market's going to, it's a great buying opportunity. Every morning, and that's the beauty of YouTube. Proof. So I do a famous video that no one's watched. And in my classroom, I says, okay, here's what I've got. I got $390,000 in one trade. I'm pulling the $390,000 out. I'm going to buy $30,000 worth of Apple derivatives, the 480s. They were $30 a piece today, which I did. I bought many thousands of dollars, and I said, I'm going to really hammer in Tesla at $16, which I did. I bought huge amounts in Tesla, thousands and thousands. And some other people did. Some young kids at Berkeley. There was a professor who got a hold of me in those early days and says, hey, there's kids are watching your videos. I actually play your videos in my class, MBA program at Berkeley, a finance professor. He says, the kids got a freaking game they're playing now. They're a drinking game when you say the word fuck. I said, well, none of them are going to graduate the way I use that F word. He laughed. But some kids come to me from Berkeley. Says, hey, well, Kevin, we're listening to your videos, finance students, and, but what do we do? Where do we go? You're anti-user and all this. I says, buy a responsible company in your neighborhood. You ever heard of a company named Tesla? And so they emailed me back and they called me and says, yeah. We went to talk to my grandpa. He's got a lot of money. And we talked him into selling his gold and buying Tesla. So they bought thousands and thousands of shares at Tesla at $16. So, okay, so I'm rolling. You're watching my videos. I'm doing I'm getting ready to go back to the hedge fund and or teaching. I'm talking to lots of MBA programs around the country and getting ready to go in. I got starting to get offers. I'm starting to get, hedge funds, but it's all computerized. I knew that. So I got the people say, even thinking about going in together with me on my own hedge fund. So all of a sudden I get a stomach ache one day. We know what happened. Full of leukemia. So when I finally got diagnosed, it took a month. I went from 170 to 130 pounds. I'm dying. I'm in tremendous pain. I've talked with my uncle's a neurosurgeon, his family, Vincent Hansen. I ended up landing at LDS bone marrow. I'm talking to the bank. I know the treatment's going to be huge sums of money. They're like, Kevin, you have to fork over everything you have. It's the only way this is going to work. You have whatever money you have. You can only have less than $2,000. You keep your house. You can't have anything. I had to liquidate. I sold all my Tesla stock, thousands of thousands. I had to sell all my derivatives, all of them, $700 and some odd thousand worth. Here's my money, all of it. And I was glad to hand it over because I could give a damn about money at that point. So here I'm in the hospital dying for months in an ICU unit with a central line. I'm dying. Hardcore dying, going through the most brutal treatment it was so brutal, so hardcore. Try and do YouTube videos once in a while. There's a few of them in there, while I'm in the hospital, circling up to nothing. I'm watching Apple go. I'm watching Tesla go while I'm in there. It gets to April, my 480s, Apple goes to $600. That means they're in the money, $120. That means they're worth $12,000 a piece. I had thousands. I figured up the math. My Tesla stock and that alone, I figured it up. Close to $9 million. Right here. So, and that's the beauty of YouTube. It's all there. That people will pull back because they're so, and I still hear it. I still hear it to this day. Oh, no, you're wrong on silver and gold. It'll come back. It doesn't matter if it comes back now. It's called opportunity cost. So I will lay the math, just like I did in my PhD, my post-ignorance, my book, in the financial section. I weight all kinds of wealth. When I was on Wall Street, I build a matrix. It's called the Kevin V. Blanch Weighted Wealth Matrix. When I weight wealth, I use all these components. I use oil, I use gold, I use all these to weight your money. But I use the euro as my main component and currencies. And I proved how all wealth was crushed in the United States from 2003 to 2008. Massively crushed across the board. It's getting stronger. Yeah, it's getting much healthier than it was. The dollar's going to crash, and so, but you people will die. And you ever notice, especially Greg Hunter, Salenti, the so-called analysts that they get on, these are the ugliest people I've ever seen. These people are so ugly. Of course they're degenerate. Look at them physically. They've never had a epic sexual experience in their life. They've never had a freaking epic, joyful in their basements. These are miserable, degenerate, creepy people, and they attract those people. They're destroying themselves, and they don't even know. That's what degenerate behavior is, by the way. You don't even know you're doing it. It's your subconscious. They're all degenerates, and it just shows they just flock. And then a person like me, they pull back so hard on me because I get it. And so what I've been able to do, a Cassandra freaking it's impossible what I've done. It is impossible. I have never missed a freaking call, not a call, through the whole time. So last year, Apple announces their split. I do videos all over. Telling you, okay, Apple's going to split. Time to go back into Apple. Hammer in. Get out of your gold. Get out of silver. There's videos all over out there. People promising $250,000 they're going to do it. So we set up my hedge fund, Blanch. We're trying to set it up. We get a bunch of scam artists that come to me. It costs $20,000 to even get the attorney fees to get it set up. We're working on it. We get people that lied, say they're going to give $250,000, and they just lied. It's just total lies. By the way, you people that think that Palco up there in Canada is dead are fools. He's not dead. This is a state, so these payout things, whoa. So anyway, I do videos all over. Saying, go hardcore in Apple. Dive in, both feet, everything. They're all over. Okay, Apple split adjusted was $73 that day. You see Apple today? It's $127. So let's go back. And let's do you lunatics math. You people that you gold hoarders and everything. So I haven't lost any money. Oh, really? It's called opportunity cost. So let's talk. I have the State Street data to prove it. 2008, 2009, when Glenn Beck's going on his crying fit, telling you to get out, get a Fox News telling you pound gold, KSL, everybody said pound gold. Everybody did it. University endowments did it. Everybody did it. And I can prove it because I have State Street's data. I have access to State Street's data. State Street is the clearinghouse. 86% of all 401k, all money across the board filed for redemptions. That means they filed to get out. We have a law where we can put down the gate. So they put down the gate, which is a good law, by the way, because it stops people from panic out when they should not panic out. But most people got out. They got out at an average Dow of 7,400. Remember, Mark Haynes calls the bottom. Now let's talk about CNBC, the propaganda machine. You've heard me go off on that many times. I go off on them many, many times. And I go off on them over and over and over. because it hit me in the streets at Flood Wall Street. Because I know how to play activism. Most activists don't. They just said that. I mean, they're sitting right in the middle of you people in New York City, the people that are abusing the hell, and you just let them. And they're posturing. They're making you look like fools, and you let them. Not me. You've seen how I do. I scream and yell, call them, journalistic whores to their face, to where I won't let them. There's to prove all this. I do it over and over and over because I know how to be a good activist. I was raised by the greatest. So. Okay, so we go back and everybody pulled out. The average price that people are averaged in gold in the United States is $1,584. The average price they're averaging in silver is $38. I can prove it. Okay, let's do the math. Gold is $22 right now. Silver's $16. By the way, there's much more widely held silver than gold. That's where everybody went. That's a hell of a haircut. Okay, the Dow average out in the 7,000s. Okay, this is without dividend reinvestment. Most of these stocks pay dividends, including Apple. So the Dow's 18,000. The broader index has to do the same. You can do the same math with all the, even Nasdaq, even higher than that. And they're like, well, it's not real money. Oh, really? Sell a stock, and I want you to take your silver. I have this friend here, dogmatic, degenerate lunatic. Thinks he knows everything when these guys are morons. He bought these silver. They have the little things you can pop off. This is how insane it is here in Utah. They were really believing that you were going to be able to go to places and click off piece of silver. I want you to walk in anything you purchase in your life, anything. Airplane ticket, food, whatever. Your local massage parlor. I don't care. Get your hair done. I want to walk in there and tell them, hey, can I pay with this silver? Can I pay with this gold? They're going to look like you're insane because you are insane. These are metals that come out of the dirt. That's all they are. And this whole idea of, there's only so much can fit is bullshit. I can take you right out here where they strip mine battle. The strip mining process in Nevada is a break-even point of about $700-800 an ounce. So they didn't do it. There's certain strip miners. There's different. When it went to 1,000, 1,250, they went berserk. I can show you a landscape that would blow your mind how much they mine. It's like, China's buying up gold. Why would China buy up gold when they mine their own gold? By the way, they don't even, you know what China's overhead on mining gold is? Nothing. They use slaves with their hands. China mines their own gold. Russia, by the way, has giant reserves of gold. And let me tell you about the economic espionage the United States has waged against Russia. You don't think they're going to retaliate in the plutonium wars? People don't want to hear my plutonium wars because they're too dogmatic. They don't understand that the nuclear industry runs this world to cover up of Fukushima. India signs the deal with Westinghouse, Hillary Westinghouse Clinton, Now Putin signs the deal with Egypt. These are plutonium wars, and my videos are a library. YouTube's a library, by the way. It is a library. That's all it is. It's a visual library. You have, and by the way, just so you know, you have all the publishing copyrights of a book ruled by the United States Supreme Court on digital copyright law. People don't get it. I will sell my videos one day, literally, because it doesn't matter about this, and it's visuals. They're pieces of art, absolutely, but the accuracy, it's impossible what I've done. Not one time have I got it wrong. No, that's impossible. People in Wall Street would give both legs. But they won't listen to me because they hate somebody who gets it right. So let's do the math. So all you you've annihilated yourself, by the way. All of you that bought into this, you've crushed yourself. And then you bitch about the people that have made money because your dogma killed you. It literally murder. And you think it doesn't matter? Well, let me tell you, if I wouldn't have had that money, there's no way I got in that unit. I will never forget. I threw down my stock portfolio in front of one of the doctors. I said, quit fucking with me, because I was uninsured because I had a fall in 2005 and broke my back and exhausted my insurance. And I got kicked off. So I threw down. I said, I have fucking money. And the person that knew my path, and he knew my career, and he says, oh, I know, Kevin, I know you. That's how I got in. I didn't have that money, I would have never fucking got in. Never. I would have been sent home to die. And I would have died. So, it matters. Your 401k, your retirement, it fucking matters. Your money fucking matters. But so does your life, so does your health, so does your food, all of it. It's a hierarchy of needs. It's a structure. You need to be freaking insured, but kicked off Medicaid. I'm one of those rare birds. There's a bunch of us, by the way, and the lawsuits are going to fly. I'm uninsurable. And the Obamacare loophole, by law, I was supposed to be in. Well, I was on Medicaid, and then I got kicked out. So my hospital's having a fit. They're like, Mike Lee is insane. John Huntsman Sr. himself, one of the top 10 richest men on earth. Not my words, CNBC's words. Look it up when they did their thing. Back to Mark Haynes sitting on the news desk, the guy who caused the Haynes bottom. We'll go back there. He called it. He would sit, remember, he'd sit and drink juice and he'd make fun of environmentalists. He'd make fun of anybody who's talking about the food chain. Just mock it all. He mocked death. He laughed at death over and over. That's all he did. Him and Aaron Burnett, who's on CNBC. That's all they did. He stood up in his chair on the New York Stock Exchange from CNBC disc. Wasn't very old, and he had young children. This is the arrogant of this fat fucking slob. He tipped over dead of a massive heart attack. Boom, blew up because he mocked death in its face. You really? You're going to be so arrogant you're going to mock death. Wow. Their powers that are freaking to be able to fucking take it. It's like the karma. The people that attack me and go after me for no reason why. People attack Dana Dunn for why he's in a wheelchair. That could only happen to anti-nuclear activists. By the way, they're so against the law. The attacks on me while I'm critical condition fighter for my life, so against the law. There was a PR firm named Edelman of Canada hired by the nuclear industry to go after us. I know it all for a fact. I have a lot of this detail underground. It's hard to communicate through a YouTube video and to feed the dogma sheep. By the way, the best people to watch my videos, they'll never comment. When I show up, they show up. They come talk to me. We have conversations. And I want people to understand this, and I'll do a video and talk about this. I got a call from someone out of the blue. I get a lot of calls. Not very long ago. I got kicked off Medicaid last May. Well, the hospital's trying to work with me, but I'm still under treatment. They're building a new treatment program because I didn't have a bone marrow transplant. The hospital, we're talking an ICU, the number one leukemia in the world. It's not free. And their resources, so they've been very good with me, is because they know I've been kicked off Medicaid, but it still costs money, a lot of money, and I'm under treatment still. And so I got a call, and this guy says, Kevin, I've been watching your videos for a long time. I've got a lot of money because of you. I've listened to you, and I believed in you. And I did what you see. He says, I got out of my gold. I got out of my gold right in the 1800s. Like I said, I bought some Tesla. And he says, I really hammered in on the Apple derivative like you told me to last year in the Apple. And he made a lot of money. And he says, I want to help you out. He says, I want to get you some money. How can I help you out? He says, what would be the best thing to help you out? And I says, well, I've got to get this bill paid at my hospital. It's hanging over my head. And I'm not even sure how much it is. The hospital's working with it right now, but it's a lot of money. And he says, well, let's do a three-way call with the hospital. So we did. He never gave his name. I still don't know who he is. And that's great. I don't want to know his. And he says, I don't want it because, and he said, Kevin, he says, I really love you. And he says, you've taught me so much in life, and I honestly really believe in you. And, he says, like I said, I'm a businessman. I'm worth a lot of money. And so they negotiated it, that it would be done anonymously. And he says, I don't want even Kevin to know the number, whatever, and any future bill that he gets, whatever, I want you to come to me. So I talked to the hospital, and they says, you're all paid up. Not even now, into the future. Your treatment will go on. And they're working with me, and he says, this guy paid it. Not only did he pay it, he made a donation to the hospital. So, it gave me so much power and so much hope. It was a powerful thing, really powerful. So, yeah, leukemia devastated my life. It destroyed my life, my beautiful freaking career, all of it, and I love finance. Do not get me, I used to love teaching finance. I love Dr. Cooley. I love Kyle Madsen. I loved our university. I love living in Utah. I love New York City. I love the excitement of freaking economics. I love it. I've always have. I started creating cattle futures in the pits of Ogden when I was a 14-year-old boy. I learned it. I watched it. I was a lot like, you read East of Eden and those two twin boys. And remember when he made all the money in the cat? And, and he was the wild child and the girls liked him. And that was me when I was a boy. You know, and I was thinking about it this morning. I'm thinking about a couple of girlfriends I had. They were so incredibly wild. It was unbelievable. And I was thinking about it. I'm like, God, did we get involved with those girls here in Oregon? And they, wealthy families, drove incredible rich. They were the wildest females. And then I started thinking about what they looked like physically and who they were and how I was involved with them. I'm like, my God, no wonder I was so wild. I mean, they were incredible. That's how I lived. My uncles, the neurosurgeon and the heart surgeon, they used to shake their head at me. Oh my God. They were mad at me because of the way I lived. I was just so wild trading them cattle futures in here, but I would not take one bit of it away ever. It was so exciting. It was so fun. It was such a beautiful, incredible time in life for a lot of years. It's amazing what an amazing freaking young life I had. I think that's why I appreciate my life so much, and I love it so much. I still love this place, and it breaks my heart, and it makes me cry every day. You know, I'm part of the fabric here in this place. I am salt of the earth, and, you know, I had the biggest stucco business in there with my hawk and trowel. Everybody here knows me, everybody. The media knows, everyone knows me. It's come to the point now that pillars of the community and people in the community, because there was a lot of beautiful people that lived like I lived, and incredible people. But what happened? When this neoconservative freaking insanity, this degenerate took this incredible, rich, dynamic, culturally rich, beautiful place, they left. They moved to San Francisco. They moved to Taos. I mean, that's where they all live. I mean, there's lots of people that think like me and whatever here, but I stayed because I had a young family and I raised my family. I've watched this. It breaks my heart. I've watched this America go to shit. It breaks my heart. When Bush stole the election in 2000, I'm like, it's over, fuckers. How can you allow this to happen? Skull and crossbones is a secret society. Everybody wants to go off about the Masonics. Shit, I'll take the Masons when they run this country. Both Roosevelt were Masons. You know, it was founded by Masons, Paul Revere and George Washington Masons. Alexander Hamilton. I'll take the Masons any day over these fucking skull and crossbones, Leo connection monsters that have this country. And that's who's running this fucking country. What do you think Gore stood down? I mean, Aaron Burr's bloodlines. Because these decisions are made behind closed doors, just like Lee being elected. It's a club. And Fox News feeds the club, and everybody goes, I've watched this country fucking reform and go into a deal. And how somehow that a gun and gold is going to save them. Now, this is the home of John Browning. Those beautiful, incredible guys. I mean, it was really prestigious to have a handmade, Belgian-made freaking Browning shirt. By the way, they're pieces of art. Nobody had handguns here. They all had a beautiful Browning double-barrel hanging on their freaking mantle. Now, AK-40. Remember the guy who invented it, who just passed, called it the most epic mass destruction in world history when he invented it. $8 freaking machine gun. The state of Utah, this is no shit. You cannot make this up. They have a commemorative gun every year now. This is how insane they are. An AK-47 with the Highway Patrol stamp on it. I'm not kidding. Look it up. John Browning would cry. These great philanthropists would cry. The people that ran this state and the people that are in it, they would cry. They would literally cry. They would roll over in their freaking graves. So everybody gets out. What's left behind? This is the most corrupt place. And everybody says, remember the old timer that I used to work for, plastering? He says, you're the greatest young plasterer I've ever seen, Kevin, with that heart. You have to stay in this beautiful trade. And I made a lot of money in that trade. I had the same crew that worked for me for 30 years. The same exact guy. I never fired a guy. I didn't have to. These guys were skilled. And it all fell apart when the whole opened up the whole legal, switched to fake stucco, and this whole dynamic, first they came for the craftsmen. And America went along with it because they are degenerate. They've wiped you out financially. So here's the math. You had $100,000. You bailed out, which I can prove everyone did it. Your $100,000, I'm being generous right now. Your $100,000 is probably worth around $40,000. If that. You left it in the stock market. Dividend rate, your $100,000 right now is worth right around $300,000. So you went from $300,000 to $40,000. Doesn't matter. And you're sitting there holding, it's going to come back. Fine, it's going to come back. I will quote the legendary finance professor, Clyde Cooley, who died at Mad Cow, who lived in Bountiful. Stericycle killed him. I will quote him, the most brilliant finance professor, unarguable in the world. Everybody knew it. I have the last letter of recommendation he ever wrote. I will quote him. Love all you guys say, oh, the market's got it wrong. Market's all being manipulated. It's like, oh, really? Huh. I'll tell you who's got it wrong. You and your dogma. That's who's got it wrong. This market does not get it wrong. How many trillions? They don't get it wrong. And if somebody's manipulating the market, that's part of the freaking humanity. Don't you get that? It's like horse racing. Oh, fuck, they're cheating. Don't you know that going in? Yet, the same people that are being abused and your money's being stolen, they tried to put right Glass-Steagall, all these things. By the way, the man who stood in front between Glass-Steagall, I knew him personally. Federal Reserve is named after him. Oh, from this town? Oh, yeah. Knew him very personally. Amazing man. Loving guy. He used to call me and my twin sister the freaking Hansel and Gretel and laugh. He used to pick me up and kiss me. Amazing. Called himself the Great Socialist. That's right. Here in Utah. They've forgotten they were communists. Communists. Look up communists. The Mormons were communists. That's right. United Order. Look it up. Now, Mike Leach, up is down, black is white, yellow is blue, and nobody wants the truth. There's no logical thinking here. They all left. They all died. That's America. The Great Salt Lake is the slowest in history. California's in the biggest drought in freaking history. I mean, it's a horrible. It's beyond scary. By the way, I went to dinner yesterday with a friend I know from YouTube, I met exactly a year ago when I did my Blue Hearts at Diablo Canyon. Gino. He drove all the way up here, lifelong resident at San Luis Obispo. He spent the last 20 days. He has a place in Lake Tahoe. He showed me pictures. We know what the Sierra gets. You got to see the pictures. There's absolutely no snow in the Sierra. Zero. California is in the throes of the most epic drought disaster. Miko Kako, the phony fraud that he is, goes on CBS and Good Morning America. I was in San Diego and says, oh, it's just going to go back to being a desert. California, which is desert. This is a lying motherfucker that he is. Ignorant. Let's talk Don Quixote. Let's talk about the Spanish explorers, about the ancient world where the Baja dropped in. Let's talk about what they said about San Diego. These are people that traveled every corner of the earth, the Spanish explorers. The most beautiful, spectacular, ecological system on the face of the earth. San Diego, California. That was them. False Bay used to flood out. Oh, really? That was it? I don't think so. He writes, never seen so many birds, never seen so much, never seen so many giant trees, never seen so many bears, never seen so many mammals. He says it takes your breath away. Nico Kaka wants to tell us that was a desert with none sun. This is the ignorant motherfucker that he is. Another Cal Berkeley. By the way, look it up, Skull and Crossbones, the guy who started Crossbones, was the president of Cal Berkeley. They started the Manhattan Project. They run the nuclear thesis, the whole thing. John Holdren, the eugenicist that he is, running the whole thing, the cover-up, not the cleanup. There's no cleanup in Fukushima. The cover-up. The nuclear has just, if you don't think the mega drought in the western United States is very much related to the Pacific Ocean and Fukushima pouring into the ocean and heating up the ocean, for all these years, you are a fool. They're tied together. It has changed the water rising up off that freaking ocean and rolling into the western United States. It's changed it. There are photographers showing pink plankton in all their photographs, multiple ones all over. The ocean is dying. The western United States is dying. The emperor has no clothes, and no one gives a fuck. Nah, 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 nah. I can't see it. I can't hear it. Nah, 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 nah. Uncomfortably numb, dumb, pathetic. This is the grotesquest population, and that's no commentary, in human history. We'll get the data out on the Bundy victim over there, but I think Bundy told it. I put up that video, and I put the description from 1989, what Bundy told them right before they juiced one of the greatest passive-aggressive creeps in human history that ever lived. Now we have a whole country of them, and they use economic murder on us. Passive-aggressive, hair-sprayed neocon, well, all politicians. And you go along with it. So go ahead with your degenerate. I don't give a fuck because I'm fighting back, and I'm going to fight for the ocean. The rest of you just lay down and accept, stand down humanity and die. All you YouTube vloggers, and oh, yeah, just enjoy it. Fuck you. Fuck every last one of you. I'm fighting back. Stay in tune.
All nuclear fighters, all hands on deck, all hands on deck, all hands on deck. All nuclear fighters, all hands on deck, all hands on deck, all hands on deck. They'll be calling you a radical. Twingate